Hello and welcome to the Fit and Free podcast. This is a podcast for women who want it all, to feel strong and confident in their bodies, as well as enjoying a sneaky mug on a Friday night. I'm an exercise physiologist and sports nutritionist, here to teach you how to achieve your body goals without food and your body controlling your life. So let's jump in. Hello you guys and welcome back to another ep of the Fit and Free podcast. I have been batch recording some episodes, so I actually haven't sat down and recorded an episode in a while. So it feels so good to be sitting here and talking to you. I hope you're having the best day, whether it's the morning or in the middle of the day, or whatever that looks like for you right now. But yeah, I'm really excited to be back and to talk about this topic today. Today is going to be a bit of a short and sweet episode because this is a question that I get asked all the time as a nutritionist, exercise physiologist, and I want to give you guys a lot of clarity so that you know exactly what you need to work on depending on where you are in your fitness journey. But before I jump in, I want to give you guys a little bit of a quick life update because things have changed a little bit here over in Bali. We have just moved into a new villa and oh my God, it is such an upgrade to where we were for the first month and a half. And honestly, I couldn't be happier. I don't know, I don't really talk about this very much because it doesn't really have anything to do with nutrition and exercise or mindset really, kind of mindset space. But I'm big on manifestation and vibrational frequencies and, really ensuring that I am consistently matching the vibrational frequency of the things that I personally want to create in my life. I've had a lot of, I am a firm believer in manifestation and the law of attraction because since day one before I started my business, that's when I really got into it. And since then, anything that I've actually really wanted to create in my life, I've actually been able to do it. Yes, you could call it manifestations. Yes, you could call it extremely hard work. Yes, you could call it, being really crystal clear on what you want and going after it. Well, essentially that is one of the steps inside how to manifest something. But one of the things that I'm a firm believer on is just your energy day to day and being in a space for me personally, having an environment that really raises my vibrational frequency makes me feel so freaking amazing, which therefore gives me more motivation, it gives me more inspiration, it gives me this calm feeling. And it environment especially is just something that plays such a big toll on me. So being here, it's just giving me this breath of fresh air, and it's really opening my eyes to all the possibilities that actually can happen for me, for my business, for my clients, because I've just got so many downloads and inspiration. And it's so wild to me how much environment can really, make a difference. So that's really exciting. And I'm really excited about, the next 6 to 12 months because I've really been pondering and sitting on the Fit and Free Academy. I absolutely love it for sure. And the transformations that we are getting inside this program is absolutely so insane. I got a message from one of my clients and she just told me about how she had gone on her first, well, it's not her first family vacation, but it's her first family vacation since going through the Fit and Free Academy. And she is like, Laura, you have literally changed my life. This is the first time that I'm not stressing about food. I'm not stressing about calories. I'm eating ice cream every day. I'm not feeling bloated. I'm not feeling fat. I'm just feeling so good in my body. I'm feeling so free and confident with food. And I actually get to enjoy these amazing experiences and actually get to spend time with my loved ones instead of just being so fixated on calories and food and all of the things. So whilst, yes, I am so proud of the transformations that are absolutely happening inside the Fit and Free Academy, I know things are going to be shifting and changing over the next 6 to 12 month period. So if you don't already know, the Fit and Free Academy right now is open for enrollment, and it's such a transformational space. I know and I'm not even being biased, like the testimonials that are coming out of this program, like you can go and read them. They're just so freaking amazing. It's because we're really focusing on, not only strategy with nutrition and exercise, but also mindset as well. And I think that's like the game changing thing within the academy, because it's not just, follow this meal plan, follow this exercise program. It's so much more than that. It is, essentially learning how to eat normally, like learning how to intuitively eat without having to track calories, like how to see results with all this obsession, how to see results in your body, as well as being able to enjoy your social life and spend time with your loved ones and just have this like sense of complete food freedom. So with that being said, it's like this is the last round that is happening this year, which is so wild, so crazy. We love that. And in saying that, it's like, I don't know how much longer it's going to be run the way that it is. So if you guys have been sitting on the fence, this is your sign to make a move, because I can definitely see we are absolutely going to make some changes into the future. So if you've been thinking about it and you've been listening to the transformations, you've been listening and watching, my Instagram stories and all of the things, it's like, if I was you, I would be moving now, because it's not going to be the same. It's going to be different moving into the future. I can't tell you anything yet. Of course, you guys will be the first to know. My loyal podcast listeners, I appreciate you guys so much. But yes, no, just know things are absolutely going to be changing. So if you were thinking about joining the round, having help and support with nutrition, exercise, and mindset, now is the best time to be doing it. Especially like, my Southern Hemisphere girlies is like, we're moving into summer. So what a better time to absolutely start working on ourselves, working on not only our body composition, but also our mindset in and around food, especially with the silly season coming up. It's like such a thing. It's like, we've got to shred before summer, then the silly season hits, and then like you put all the weight back on, because essentially you don't have a good relationship with food and you don't know how to actually maintain that. So all of the reasons why you should come join us in the academy. But yeah, other than that, other than my new upgrade, I'm excited about the future. Yeah, no, everything else is a freaking vibe. So that's it for the life update. So let's jump into today's episode. So one of the most common questions that I always get is, what should I do with my body? Should I cut? Should I bulk? Or should I body recomp? So in today's episode, we are just going to explore what each term means and provide a bit of guidance on choosing the right strategy for you. See, one of the biggest mistakes that people make with their nutrition is not understanding nutritional phases. And I made this mistake for so long when I was going through like my gym challenge era, when I would sign up for the gym challenge. I'll be like, yeah, I'm doing this 12-week challenge. I'm doing this shred option. Then I would, go balls to the wall. I would be all in. I would be extremely restrictive. I would see a result because I was committed. I was so restrictive, but then the results never last for me. Like I was never able to maintain the result that I got. And what I know now is because two different reasons. Number one, the method was too restrictive and I didn't actually know how to live my life and, reach a nutritional goal. I just knew how to be really strict and follow a meal plan. There was no ebbs and flows. And number two is I didn't understand nutritional phases. I didn't realize that there was a thing called, a calorie deficit. Okay, there's this thing called maintenance where you maintain your weight. And I didn't know that was a thing. And when I learned, I was like, okay, cool, there's this maintenance calories thing. Right. This is how people maintain their weight. This is how people not yo-yo. It completely changed my life, essentially. Because for a really long time, I was operating with so much fear because I had such a poor relationship with food and my body, and I was so fearful of always gaining weight. And because I had the pattern of a really from the age of 22 to 26 when I was doing these gym challenges and, these crazy diets, that was my pattern. I would always lose weight and put it back on, lose weight and put it back on. And I was never really happy with my body composition. any time throughout that. But what I know to be true, it's because I didn't understand what I'm going to be speaking about today. So I hope me speaking about this for you guys gives you a lot of clarity in understanding nutritional phases, and hope it can give you a bit of insight of what you need to focus on. As well as, like, one of my biggest principles when it comes to coaching in general, and I say this to my clients all the time, is being intentional with the nutritional phase that you're in. Because if you're not being intentional with the nutritional phase that you're in, that's when you get stuck in cycles of trying to lose weight for like 10 years. That's an exaggeration, of course. But that's where you get stuck in the cycle of essentially losing trust with yourself. And achieving a body composition goal, whether that's any of the phases, building muscle, losing fat, body recomping, whatever that looks like for you, like if you can't trust yourself to commit to the plan, if you don't actually follow through, then that is the recipe of not seeing a result and being dragged on, and then feeling really shit about yourself and being like, it's me, I'm the issue, I'm the problem. Right? So I'm really excited to talk about this because it's some of the stuff that I really, really like to talk about. Because like when you understand nutritional phases and when you start being intentional with those nutritional phases, aka what I mean by that is essentially being in integrity with the nutritional phase. So if you are in a calorie deficit, you stick to it. If you are in a body recomposition, you stick to it. If you are in a calorie surplus, you stick to it. There's none of this wishy-washy, like, yeah, I'm going to stick to it for 3 days and then I have this event and then like things go out the window and I'm like, oh shit, like I fucked that up, so I'm going to fuck up the rest of the week. Or there's none of this, oh yeah, I'm going to be so restrictive this week. I'm really restrictive for 3 weeks in a row. Then, I went over my calories. Oh my God, everything's ruined. The weekend, fuck it. I ruined that one day. Then I'm just going to be good again on Monday. Like there is none of this vibes, this no all or nothing mentality, because it's this all or nothing mentality, like I already said, is the thing that breaks trust with ourselves. And essentially we don't believe that it's even freaking possible for us. So that's what I mean by being intentional. And like, that is why majority of my clients aren't getting results, is because they are committed and they are in integrity with their word. They are doing the things that they say that they're going to do, and they do it over and over again. And for, not all of my clients were able to do that at the beginning. And that's why the mindset work is so important, is like, you do need to build a level of self-trust with yourself, because it's like, how many times have you told yourself like, yeah, I'm going to go to the gym tomorrow, or yeah, I'm going to meal prep tomorrow, or yeah, I'm going to do X tomorrow, but then you lack that follow through. Well, of course, that's one of the reasons why you're not seeing the result that you want, because you're not following through on the things that you say that you're going to do. And that is huge when it comes to all of these things. So one other mistake, so that kind of ties into this, is that the other mistake that I wanted to talk to is that lack of intentionality. And one of the biggest mistakes that I see when someone is lacking that intentionality is really always wanting to cut, always trying to lose weight. And do not get me wrong, there is nothing wrong with being lean. Like, I am freaking here for it. Like, I know I talk about healthy relationship with food a lot and all of the things, but yeah, I also have a lot of clients that have been with me for, 2 years now, that we've done multiple fat loss phases. So I also do help people lose weight, but it's just not something that I always talk about. But yeah, like if you want to be lean, that's freaking amazing. But however, you do need to learn how to do it in a healthy and sustainable way. And so therefore, like, always trying to lose weight is not a healthy way of doing it, and it's not a sustainable way of doing it. So that's where these nutritional phases come into play, because when you learn how to cycle through them, you're like, oh my God, this makes sense. I actually know how to drop that and keep it off. And then if I want to drop more fat, I can, and then keep it off. Cool. So let's jump into it. So first of all, let's define the three: bulking, cutting, recomping. Bulking, what that means is in like putting muscle mass on your body, basically eating in a calorie surplus more than what you're burning, with the intention of putting muscle mass on your body. So that's personally what I did at the start of this year. From January to about June, I intentionally gained weight to build muscle on my body. So with the thing with bulking, it's like you can't guarantee that you're not going to gain body fat, but essentially it is the most efficient way to put muscle mass on your body. So if you haven't listened to the episode about what I'm doing with my physique at the moment, it's the reason why I personally did a bulk is because I essentially wanted to grow my glutes and grow muscle in specific areas so that when eventually I do go to do a proper long fat loss phase, is that my body composition looks that I have more shape, that I have bigger glutes, that I have more tone in my abs, that I have more tone all throughout my body, because essentially it's the muscle that's the thing that makes you look like that. So that's the rationale and the reason behind my own journey. Then we defined what a cut is. So a cut essentially is dropping body fat, maintaining muscle as best we can and only dropping body fat. And then we have body recomposition. So what body recomposition is building muscle and losing fat at exactly the same time. So this method is used essentially to improve your body composition rather than lose weight or gain weight. So with my journey, as I just spoke to, I did a calorie surplus for the first 6 months of the year. I then maintained that for a couple of months. Then I went through just a mini cut, like really, really small. It was just like 6 weeks. Now I'm to the point where I'm body recomping to eventually then do another fat loss phase, like a proper long fat loss phase to get to really where I want. So my goal now is to body recomp again, to really focus on prioritizing building muscle. And then eventually I'll probably do it even next year. I'm probably going to maintain this for a while now. And again, just focus on body recomping, getting stronger in the gym to maximize muscle growth, to then eventually do another fat loss phase. So the reason why I want to talk through my journey a little bit here is because, like, you know, majority of your life, majority of your time should be spent either at maintenance calories or in a calorie surplus, not in a calorie deficit. And I see so many people getting this wrong, and I understand. I got it wrong for a really long time, but like, especially when you do have the fear of weight gain that is driving a lot of your behaviors, then it is terrifying to eat more calories, to eat at maintenance calories, even to go into a calorie surplus. So I completely understand. However, it's like, there has to be a point in time where you move through that, because it's not healthy to always be in a calorie deficit. It's not healthy for your mindset. It's not healthy for your body either. So there has to be a point in time where it's like, I'm taking this balls to the wall. I'm doing this. I'm learning how to maintain my weight. I'm learning how to build more muscle on my body. Because not only is it so good for your health, but it's also good for your body composition as well. So let's move into when you should do each of the phases. So if I could tell myself when I was 20 years old and I worked with my first ever coach and we did this calorie deficit and I got down to, you know, like 8 kilos lighter than I am now, if I could go back in time and shake her, I would be like, do a bulk, build muscle, do it now. Because essentially, it's like, once you put muscle mass on your body, it's so easy to maintain it. Building muscle, especially as a female, is so freaking hard. And like, I know a lot of people are still like, oh my God, if I lift weights, I'm going to get bulky. I'm like, I wish it was easy to get bulky because it's actually quite difficult, especially as a tall girly. It's really hard to build muscle. But I just wish I could shake her and being like, you know, eating more is not going to make you get fat. Eating more is not going to be a bad thing. Eating more is going to make you build muscle in your body. And that is literally going to set you up for the rest of your life. Because, you know, muscle has so many protective benefits on the body, like for your joints, for your ligaments, for your tendons, also for your metabolism, also for just your overall strength and well-being, for your posture. Like, I could go on about the benefits of putting muscle mass on your body. But of course, that was like terrifying for me because like at that point in my life, I was terrified of eating more because I didn't want to gain weight. But what I know to be true now was, for me personally, gaining weight was like the best thing that I ever did for myself. Because essentially what gaining weight actually means is building muscle. And, you know, because of diet culture, because of, you know, a society's standard of what beauty is, you know, and all of the dieting magazines, all of the Instagram what I eat in a day videos, there are so many messages about dieting and losing weight, and like if you eat too much you're going to gain weight, and there's just such this negative connotation on weight gain itself. However, weight gain can mean muscle gain. Gaining weight means building your glutes, toning up your waist. Weight gain can be such a good thing for so many people because essentially you're bettering your body composition and you're going to look firmer, and you're going to look leaner, and you're going to look more toned. So that's just something I wanted to add in before I start what you should pick when you're setting up your goals. So the first things first is you always have to think about like, what is your end goal? Because I know a lot of people get caught up in a little bit of instant gratification. And I know for a fact, it's like so many women struggle with their body image, and essentially what's happening in this space, and probably people don't even realize that they do it, is but because they have tied in so much importance to the size of their body, they only feel good enough, they only feel happy, they only feel lovable, they only will feel accepted if they are a certain size, or they can only feel confident, they can only be sexy if they fit into a certain clothes. So therefore, if they are not that size, then nutrition becomes obsessive. Exercise becomes obsessive because you're doing everything in your power to get to that certain body size. Because if you're not that body size, you don't fit into your clothes, then what it's doing is triggering these feelings in us that we're not good enough, that we're not worthy, that we're not X, Y, and Z. So then it can be really hard to go through periods of gaining weight and actually working on your body composition and getting strong in the gym, because anytime maybe your body image gets triggered, or maybe you go over your calories, it's triggering that part of you that doesn't feel good enough with where you are right now. So you can easily fall back into a restriction pattern. So a really big cock block for so many people is they're tying their worth and their value to the size of their body, which is essentially stopping them from reaching the body composition goals that they really do want, because they're constantly running back to restriction, or they're constantly running back into a calorie deficit, and they're constantly running back to over exercising instead of actually looking at the long-term vision. Like for me personally, like when I went through my bulk, I was like, okay, this is not where I want to be. This is not my end goal. However, I know what my end goal is. And in order to get to my end goal, I have to go through the process of getting there. And, you know, if I still had a lot of worth and value tied to my body, then that's when I would have experienced bad body image. That's when I would have experienced feeling uncomfortable and not feeling good enough and constantly body checking. It's because you've got so much importance to the size of your body. So really, until you're able actually to completely detach your worth, your value, feeling good enough, feeling sexy, feeling confident to a certain body size, is that you're never actually going to be successful long term, because it's the root cause of the sabotage. So with that being said, it's like that's what you really have to think about when you are setting your nutritional goals, is because so many people have that attachment to being a certain way, it's putting a cloud over what they need to do long term to actually get to where they want to be. So that's something that you do have to be radically self-honest with, and you really have to ask yourself, it's like, what do I really want? And for the long term, like, what do I want my body composition essentially to look like overall? And am I willing to do what it takes in order to get that? Because essentially you do have to learn to feel uncomfortable in your body if you want to build muscle, if you want to be toned, if you want to be fit, if you want to be lean, like, you know, that classic glutes and beautiful shoulders and being strong and all the things, like there has to be elements of you being okay with being uncomfortable during that process. Because if you're not okay of being uncomfortable, then it's very easy to run back to your deficit. So if your long-term goal is to, really build your glutes and really have toned abs and toned shoulders and, like a lean, firm body, then like you do have to look at, okay, in order to achieve that, I absolutely need to build muscle. And in order to build muscle, like that is not done in a calorie deficit. That's either done in a bulk or a recomp. So I'm going to speak to this one first. So essentially, okay, cool. I've got that goal. I know that I need to build muscle. How am I going to get there? So if you are relatively lean and not even that lean, so women, 25% body fat, and your primary goal is to get to exactly what I was speaking to, the toned glutes, all the things, then a really good step forward is to bulk, is to prioritize putting more muscle mass on your body. If you're not quite there yet and you can't increase your calories to a full surplus and bulk, then the next recommendation would be body recomposition. These two phases are also perfect for you if you currently have spent a lot of time in a calorie deficit and you have a downregulated metabolism. So things like you've lost your period, you have really low energy, you're thinking about food all the time, you're hungry, you have other hormone imbalances, you potentially you're struggling with your skin. It's like, this is where I would be leaning towards if you are struggling with any of these things. And of course, if you have an unhealthy relationship with food, you're not doing a calorie deficit. Why? Because a calorie deficit, all that does is restricts you further. And if you already have disordered eating and an unhealthy relationship with food, then restricting yourself further is just going to exacerbate your issue. So you're probably not going to be successful in your calorie deficit. So what's the point of even doing it? So if that is your end goal, you want to build muscle, that is the route that I would absolutely be taking. Then after you build muscle, and building muscle takes time, and that's what you guys have to realize is that, look at how I'm doing my journey. It's like over the last 5 years, I've spent maximum 6 months in a calorie deficit. Majority of the time is either at maintenance or building muscle. And when you guys get that, you'll get it. You'll see amazing changes in your body. So that's what that looks like, is cool, building muscle, minimum 3 months. I would be suggesting pushing that out further, and then down the line, eventually, especially if you do a calorie surplus, I would be looking at doing a calorie deficit. Or if I was body recomping, depending on the level of body fat that you want to achieve, then potentially you also would want to do a calorie deficit after that. So that's when I would really recommend bulking and recomping. Then I want to speak to, of course, cutting. So absolutely here for it. If you want to lose weight, I'm so down and here for it. So when to cut instead of, recomping or bulking is when to cut is, number one, most importantly, if you have a healthy relationship with food and you have been maintaining or you've been in a surplus for at least 6 months, because chronically dieting does play a role on your metabolism. Constantly going in and out of a calorie deficit, overall your metabolic rate can adapt to it, and it makes it harder over time to lose more weight. Because you're constantly putting yourself in an energy deficit, you're constantly putting your body in this place of metabolic adaptation, your body does adapt to it. So that's why it's really important for you guys to understand that constantly dieting is negatively affecting your body in so many ways than you probably maybe even realize. So of course I always have to say that is you have to be maintaining on a good amount of calories if you were to go into a calorie deficit, because essentially if you're not maintaining on a good amount of calories and then you try to go into a calorie deficit, then the calorie deficit won't work. Because your body has already adapted and you're already maintaining on low calories, you try and go into a deficit, and then you have to go into these extremes to see any sort of weight loss. This is why people, eating calorie deficit, it stops working. So then they drop themselves to these extremes, and they just get lower and lower so that they still see progress. But of course, that is so unhealthy for the body. And this is where learning how to shift through the phases, so eating in a calorie deficit, spending time at maintenance calories, eating in a deficit again, spending my time at maintenance calories, eating in a calorie deficit again, is how, like, essentially like the best way to lose like large amounts of weight. So, of course, you've got no signs of metabolic adaptation. You've been eating in a you haven't been eating in a calorie deficit for the last 6 months. And your goal then is to lose a large amount of body fat. That's when I would be recommending doing a calorie deficit. Or if you, like I said, you've done your bulk or you've done your body recomp and you still want to lose a little bit more body fat, then that's when I would be doing a calorie deficit as well. I know it's probably like a little bit different to what you're used to hearing. I know a lot of people have the opinion of lose fat first, then build muscle. But essentially, it's like, what's the point of losing fat when you got to build muscle anyway? Like, why don't you do that first and then lose the body fat and you're going to be exactly where you want to be? That's my take on it. That's my opinion. Of course, we can take it with a grain of salt, but that's what I truly believe works so well for a lot of women. Especially, I like to do that way as well, because when women come to me, it's more often than not is that they have been chronically dieting for a really long time. So just them having that piece of actually just eating at maintenance and actually understanding what that feels like can be such a weight lifted off their shoulders, because this is what it's like to actually, be able to eat normally without all this crazy diet stress or without this crazy obsession with calories. So that is my take on what you should be focusing on when it comes to cutting, bulking, or recomping. And at the end of the day, I will always say that it's always just dependent on your overall long-term goal. And I want you to think long-term, not instant gratification. Yeah, I'm going to feel better if my body is smaller. Like, yes, if that is the goal and that's the long-term goal, it's like, that's amazing. However, like I already spoke to, if you want your body to look a certain way, please try and detach yourself from the instant moment, and please always try and look at it long-term to exactly where you want it to go. So thank you for being here. Love you always. And I will see you guys in the next episode. Bye. Number one challenge that all my clients face before we start working together is a lack of clarity on how much and what to eat to lose weight. Often they are making two huge mistakes: constantly trying to skip meals or eat under 1,600 calories. Secondly, only allowing themselves bad foods like chocolate on the weekend, but end up binging, all to tell themselves they're going to start again on Monday. If you feel like you have tried every diet under the sun and still can't figure out what to eat to achieve your weight loss goals, take my free 2-minute quiz. You can find the link in the show notes down below, and it will help you figure out exactly what you're doing wrong with your nutrition and exercise, and exactly what to do to fix it, so that you can finally be confident in your body and achieve your weight loss goals.